The reason I've come to New Zealand this trip is to work out just why the trout are so big there. I reckon it's got a lot to do with the clear water, but who better to ask than my good friend here, Lindsay White, who's been a fisherman and a guide here for over 30 years. And there's not a lot he doesn't know about their wild brown trout. So why do New Zealand trout grow so big? Well, to achieve a population of big trout, you simply need constant cool water temperatures all year round, combined with clean, high quality water with high alkalinity. And if you have that, you can stalk, spot and catch great trout like this. Now, the scientific explanation to all this is called bioenergetics, and that's simply plenty of food for trout in the water at the right temperature for them to grow big. And of course, the temperature and oxygen content of New Zealand rivers is in that optimal range that allows trout to conserve energy and eat and grow big. And as you can see here as we release this one, the water is absolutely crystal clear. Lindsay has been fishing for trout in New Zealand waters since his teens, and there's not much that he hasn't seen. But when I said I'd have a go at this one sitting right in front of a big load of trouble, he had a bit of a laugh that I actually hooked it and got it out. Bioenergetics dictates that if the water is too cold, the trout simply can't digest their food, so they simply don't grow and lose condition. If it's too warm, they actually use more energy chasing and digesting their food that they can actually get out of it, so they also don't grow. But if the water in which they live is in that perfect 10 to 18 degrees Celsius range all year round like in New Zealand, well, when you combine all that with minimal angling pressure, the result is just big trout. One thing that's obvious to me is that New Zealand rivers and lakes are just spectacular. I haven't met anyone who wouldn't love to fly fish for their trout in these waters. And there is just so much water. This trout was sitting right on the bottom of this deep pool, and it was just a matter of trying to get the fly down deep enough for it to be seen. We didn't actually have any idea just how big this trout was either, as all we could see through the spotters was a sort of a moving smudge on the bottom. But boy, when I hooked solid, I could feel that it was one of those big trout that we all hope to chase. Australia is an old country geographically and only has about 10% of the number of freestone rivers that New Zealand contains. New Zealand, being very young, geographically has many more mountain ranges and many more freestone rivers. These clear freestone rivers are obviously the key to why trout grow so large in New Zealand. This river, near the town of Reefton, boasts some awesome scenery, and you couldn't find a better backdrop to fly fish for trout. Spotting trout in these clear rivers is half the challenge of this fishing. There's nothing more exhilarating or challenging than spotting and casting to one of these trout, and then nothing more satisfying than hooking and landing one. And when you get a big fish in fast water, well, you're probably going to end up about 1 kilometre down the river. And yes, it went over 1 kilometre. Actually, you can see Lindsay's car parked on the opposite bank, and that's just how far this great trout took us down the river. Yep, that's a big New Zealand trout, and yes, I was pretty happy. Not good. Colour it out. Yeah. 9.5 pounds of early season fish that would have easily gone over that magic 10 pound mark given another month of feeding. All New Zealand trout deserve to be released, and this one even more so. Everyone dreams of fishing somewhere that no one else has ever fished before, but in today's world, that's always tough. But being choppered into a river somewhere in New Zealand is about as close as that can get. Our hike up this remote river is what New Zealand backcountry trout fishing is all about. Now, why is it so challenging to find trout in these New Zealand rivers? Well, that is actually because there is so few of them. There are less trout in New Zealand rivers generally compared to those in Australia. Why? Well, most New Zealand rivers experience some very extreme flows at least once a season. And these extreme flows are so severe that they actually impact on the trout population. Immense floods combined with their less stable riverbeds adversely affect the nursery and causes many small trout fatalities. By comparison, Australian rivers are much more stable with better nursery areas, which simply results in larger numbers of trout, but much smaller trout. Have a look at this scenery. It might be tough wading, but the water is clear and it's really just a trout fisher's dream. And another thing that I've come to realise is that all the times that I've fished with Lindsay in New Zealand, I have never seen another angler. The population of New Zealand is only 4.8 million, and the South Island only recently topped 1 million. By contrast, Australia is now 25 million, and there's a lot less rivers in Australia. This is just what we all look for. There's nothing more exciting than seeing a fish before you catch it. And yes, I spooked it. But in these really remote rivers, it's only a matter of wading up to the next pool in the hope of spotting another.
Get a metre longer and come left about a metre in the bubbles. Just there. Okay, good. Just leave it, go! Okay. That was a slow take.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, let him... Okay, up the pool. Get the rod high. You've got to get him out of those rocks. Get right up. Crank it up, that's it. Get the leader out of the water. Now you're good. Now just play with him. He's coming, now crank him.
He's coming.
Yeah, now you got him. Now bring him down. Bring him all the way down. Just walk him out of the pool. It's a good fish. Take it very easy now, Bill. It's a not really heavy fish. That's it. Now we're good.
He's just eyeballing you.
Now we're good. Look, that's good. Bring him round. Got to get his head up. It's a dog head down, and just try and bring him around towards me. Keeps turning. There we go. Oh, heavy fish. That's a heavy fish. There you go. Hey, nice fish.
That is a cracker.
Nice fatted fish.
What a fish. Wow. And took a dry fly. You were going to show me what these big browns in New Zealand are all about, and that is what they're all about. Just a beautiful brown trout, wild brown trout, and absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Magnificent.
Very young fish.
Yeah.
He'll be a double digit.
Come up to 10 pound in this pool.
Yeah,
a bit of food.
Easily, yeah. A few mice.
That is amazing. That's a beautiful fish. Let's let him go so he can fight another day. Great way to finish the day.